And I heard about the, pitching requirement, and I think I'm out.
Well, just practice.
Although,
Let's see.
here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to
Get him
do
off the screen.
What is for dinner? We all have that moment when we're standing in the kitchen wondering, what can we make? Well, the key is to have a smart pantry. This will help kickstart your morning for you. We're checking out what's making headlines in your area. Our Simon desk editor gets upset when we read his newspaper, so we can't read that one. But we're going to check out the Green Valley newspaper.
One thing you don't want to do.
Okay, we apologize for the technical difficulty there with the audio. We'll check back in with Courtney Callmark. Essentially, use the credit card, but do not pour water on the windshield. It could break. And if you had bad credit, it still might work with that credit card.
It's amazing they can get those pictures. She's smiling. I can't believe that.
I don't think she has a choice. It's the wind, making her go like that. It's 5:15.
Never seen any Star Wars, I'm going to admit. So
Me
I
neither.
can't even come back with a line for you.
Why not?
Get the umbrella.
Oh, I got it.
Well, look at there. Yes. Well, what do you know?
Whoa!
I listened. I won't open it up indoors, though. Apparently
No.
that's
Please
bad
don't.
luck.
No, don't do that. But that's good. Now, just remember, have it handy.
More than 40,000 deaf people live in Rochester, so building a place especially for the deaf community makes sense.
Kilbury covered that story yesterday. He's on today's story from LaGrange Park. Scott, are police connecting these two cases?
Well, when we spoke to Rochester Police today, they were not answering our questions, but we can tell you that state police were here today, and we can only guess that they were trying to connect anything with their investigation from yesterday in Caledonia. Now, in that situation, as mentioned, it was in a remote area along a cornfield. Today, it's in the city at a park where children play. The scene is still taped off, and the car is still in the ravine. The exit is still closed, and it started more than 5 hours ago with an alleged shoplifting incident more than 10 miles away.
Safety building. Scott?
Well, that's right. We just talked to the chief not long ago, and he tells us with more and more people showing up to Friday's march as the night progressed, that meant he had to call more and more officers in, which meant overtime at the cost to the taxpayer. But he says it's a small price to pay when you're talking about public safety.
About us.
Snowbound. We work to get help for a woman who says a lack of road plows left her trapped in her home. She turned to us for help, asking when plows might come through her city street. Good evening. I'm Scott Kilbury.
How were you able to help? Or shovel in the coming days?
That is a question many of us are asked. Is the snow done for now?
Not quite. It's a little brushable in places, guys. We've had some flurries.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We are still working to get answers for why Monroe County officials waited so long to issue a travel advisory during yesterday's storm. It was issued at 10 a.m., hours after surrounding counties issued similar warnings and after a significant amount of snow had already fallen. Our meteorologists called for more than a foot of snow several days ago. But with an advisory issued so late, hundreds of drivers ended up trapped on local roadways. Many of them reached out to us.
Clean the roads, let the police get where they need to be.
We tried to contact the county executive today to find out if they were reassessing their emergency plans, but we were unable to reach anyone. We, of course, will continue to search for answers. New tonight, police were called to a rollover crash in Webster. The troopers on the scene tell us a driver was going too fast for the conditions and lost control. Luckily, no one was hurt. We're working to learn more whether the driver will be ticketed.
One business owner says he's had enough.
Yeah, you're definitely right. The intersection here was a crime scene just 2 nights ago, and unfortunately, it's not the only one in the area. When we spoke to those business owners and residents, they both said that if things don't get any better, they just might leave.
Candles sit along a curb on Clinton Avenue as a makeshift vigil outside Miss India's Soul Food Kitchen. Unfortunately, it was a crime scene last night. A 24-year-old man attending the vigil was gunned down.
So it was some of my customers that, that they were out there.
There's still evidence somewhere inside this place of business. One of the bullets came through the window.
The bullets don't have no names on them. I just thank God that we wasn't here.
Larkin has been on this corner for 4 years and says she's not going anywhere just yet. That might not be the case for Tony Rossi and his family's business 2 blocks down the road.
With that said, what you've seen in the escalating crime here, this is something that's enough to make you think about moving.
Yeah, Chester's been in this neighborhood 30 years. He's a big part of this community. But it comes a time when we have to worry about our safety of the employees.
Despite beefing up security, adding lights and cameras, crime continues in the area. A 20-year-old man was killed outside of Chester's check cashing business Monday night.
It comes a time when, we got to weigh up, is it worth it? And, we're at that point now.
Hopefully it will pass.
Now, the vigil last night was held for the victim of Monday night shooting here at Chester's, and the owner of that business tells us he's working with police to help find a suspect. He's sharing his surveillance video. Right now, no arrests have been made. Coming up at 6, we're going to hear from a young man who grew up in the neighborhood who says he actually lives in fear. We are live at the corner of Clinton and Clifford Avenue. Scott Kilbury, News 10 NBC.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Scott Kilbury. The winter storm that's already caused issues on the roads and thousands of canceled flights is moving east. It won't hit us, but cities like Washington, Philadelphia, and New York are likely to see it. NBC's Brian Moore takes us to some other cities which have already seen the wrath of this storm. Thousands of flights have already been canceled to major hubs like Washington, D.C. In fact, United Airlines has canceled all operations there and in New York City through Saturday. Officials say travelers should check the status of their flight before they head to the airport. We had the chance to talk with people who flew into Rochester from those airports that are being impacted by the storm. As far as bus and train travel are concerned, Amtrak says it's running a modified schedule in the Northeast, and passengers are urged to check ahead using Amtrak.com or the Amtrak app. Greyhound has canceled several trips from cities like New York, Washington, Philadelphia, and Richmond, Virginia. If you need more information, you can call 800-231-2222. Well, it's time now for a quick look at the News 10 NBC forecast. Your hometown weather expert Josh Nichols joining us now. We are missing the storm, Josh, but we're still not out of the woods as far as snow is concerned.
Yeah, just a few local lake flakes. Scott, back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you. Remember, we have a tool that you can use when winter weather hits. It's the News 10 NBC weather app. To get it, just head to our website, WHEC.com, and click on the weather tab. A ninth suspect is facing charges in the kidnapping of 2 University of Rochester students. That story tops tonight's Rapid Recap. 19-year-old Elliot Rivera is charged with kidnapping and predatory sexual assault. He and 2 other suspects, Jesus Castro Ubiles and David Alcaraz Ubiles, were arraigned today in city court. Each of them entered a not guilty plea. Investigators say the victims were kidnapped last month, held in a home for more than 40 hours, and tortured before they were rescued. All 3 suspects are being held without bail and are due back in court in March. A man was hit and killed by a private snowplow in Mendon this morning. Deputies say he ran out of gas on Rush Lima Road and he stopped his vehicle partially in the road without lights on. We're told he and another person were trying to flag down help. Officers performed CPR on him at the scene. He was taken to Strong Hospital where he was pronounced dead. One of the passengers, 46-year-old Anthony Nelson of Rochester, was also hit. He was taken to Strong as well and is expected to recover. The other driver told police he did not see them or the parked car. An overnight shooting in Ogden lands a man behind bars. Police say 31-year-old John Chen shot 54-year-old John Sill inside a home on Brockport-Spencerport Road. We're told he left the scene before officers arrived and was tracked down a short time later in Hamlin. We asked police what led up to the shooting. They tell us the 2 met through social media.
The communication appears to have occurred late last night, and the meeting occurred shortly thereafter. We know it was a disagreement that led up to the shooting, and the motive is something that we're still investigating.
Sill is in guarded condition at the hospital tonight. Chen is charged with assault and criminal possession of a weapon. Well, it has been a year since the body of a missing Florida teen found in our area was finally identified more than 30 years ago after she disappeared. Coming up, Jennifer Mobilia sits down with the Livingston County Sheriff, who tells us about the new leads investigators are following.
Hey, Ace, what's going on? How you doing? Getting ready for that big game tonight? Yes, sir. Well, it's Mountain View and Tucson Heights, a rivalry. Anything can happen. But then again, it's the Lions and they're carnivores, and the Badgers are kind of rodents.
You saying the Badgers are going to lose tonight?
I was just saying.
The Mountain Lions?
No, it's
my gal went to Tucson Heights.
Well, not the personal.
Real personal, mister. Get up, boy. Get up. Stand, boy, stand. Scott, please don't shoot anymore, Scott. Are you okay?
I'm not doing so good right now.
Why don't you shoot him back?
Well, I got a gun, but I ain't got no good bullets.
You don't need a gun. You got your footballs. Sweetie?
Oh, I knew you'd come through, honey. Give me these things.
Oh, Scott, you're my hero.
thanks. The good guy always gets the pretty girl. Or whatever's left. No time for that. It's overtime.